Hello, and welcome to this session module on setting a career objectives as a part of this course on how do we make right career choices. As you know, my name is Arun Singhal. I'm your management coach and mentor with 40 years of experience in people development. So, what are we going to do today in this module? The purpose of this module is to give you an in depth understanding. After having got an overview of the whole process, we will now get into understanding in depth the process or the processes that can help you set right career objectives to make right career choices. Right? So, to make right career choices, you need to start with setting up right career objectives. And that's what we're going to learn in this module. At the end of this module, what will you learn? First, we will learn about how can we set career objectives. Then we'll look at question and see why should we need to state or set career objectives. And then we will look at what could some of these objectives could be and how could you select the right objectives and how many. And that's what is on a menu today. Right. So ready to go? Wonderful. So let's start with telling notes on how can you think you can set your career objectives. Think about for 30 seconds and note down, pause the video if required, and come back and tally notes again. Right? Okay. So there basically it involves asking some questions, and there are two broad categories of questions that you need to answer. First, you need to answer these questions, which are like you need to ask yourself what specific results and benefits do I want to achieve from my career in my life? What are the expectations that I have? What is the end result that I want from my career? And what are my constraints? Are there any constraints like family constraints, money constraints, etc., that you must consider for your career choices? And finally, what value should my career bring for my life? That's the kind of questions that you need to ask. The second part of setting objective is to classify these 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 answers that you get into two categories. One that are musts. You have to meet them. There's no choice really you have in your life. Like if you have to be in India, you have to be in India because of family constraints. So the must are mandatory minimum requirements, and these are measurable in the sense that there are no doubts about whether you can do or you can't do it. All remaining can be categorized in wants, and wants out of these objectives will be used to judge the comparative picture of your various career options. Right. Does that make any sense, guys, girls? Right. So, next question that I have for you is why should you state your career objective? What is the use? Why do we need to set your career objectives? What do you think? 30 seconds again? Right. So let's talk about why should we state career objectives. And I'm going to answer in form of some questions for you. Ultimately, we all want happiness in life, right? All right. And career is an important part of life. And we need to be happy there also to be happy in life, right? And what is happiness? Happiness is expectation minus what you get finally, the delivered things, the results. Right. If that's the kind of things, though, then isn't the setting career objective important to get a happiness in life because it includes the expectation. You're saying, what should I expect from my career? So if I set wrong expectation, am I going to be happy? And to be happy, I need to set right expectations, right? At the same time, it is the expectations or the objectives that drive us. Unless you set a reasonably ambitious goal, we won't even know. And we will talk about how do we set these career objectives and what are good career objectives. So at the same time, these objectives drive us to achieve the results by guiding us the choices we make. So it is important to set career objectives. We set very low objectives, we won't even stretch ourselves. So doesn't that make setting right career objectives important enough? All right. I think we are all in agreement there. So what could be some of these objectives? How do I what is my basket of things from which I can pick out? Is there a methodology? What do you think? 30 seconds, pause the video if required, and come back and tally notes. Right. I would suggest you to use a 4M model. This basically comes from operations and supply chain model. I picked up from there. I'm adapting here to this here. You could think of four things at least in my mind that you can say, okay, men meaning men and women here. So what objectives do I have in relation to people? Do I want to become a leader of 1,000 people, as one of my students said? Want to become a respected political leader in the state? Are there people in my life I need to take care of, like my mom? Is there my own expectation about myself as keeping in good health? So this could be examples of some people-related objective. Money. Second is money. How much money do I want in my life? Do I want to become a billionaire or a millionaire? How do I want to earn this? Should I earn with dignity, honesty, or doesn't really matter? Do I want to establish a successful business to earn that money? And these could be some examples of money related objectives. And this could be unique for you. You could make your own list. What materials do I want to have in my life? I want a car, I want my own house. Need to have a house that's near a beach, a seashore. Want to have a position? The position is important material for me. I want to become a managing director. And this could be part of my aspiration and hence become one of my objectives. Some of the methods, some of the skills that I have could become my own objectives. Want to become the best painter in the country, in the world, in the Asia Pacific region. Want to become the best singer, etc., etc. So does that give you some kind of idea of how could you use this framework to list some of your objectives? All right. So how can you select right objectives and how many? Let me answer the question of how many first. I would suggest to have a minimum two, and that may be less. I'm being little, let's say, permissive there. A maximum five. So you should have 2 to 5 objectives that you can set. And how do you select the right ones out of that list that you will generate? First, you must select the must. Like, I must be in India. I must take care of my mom. I must take care of my health. So these becomes musts. I need to take care of. So these are the words that you write there will give you a clue to which are the must. Then you select what is the most important other thing, which are wants. These are desires. So there are needs and there are desires. Ask which of the wants will give you most happiness in life. So must are must. You have to meet them. You don't have any choices. So those do straight away fall into your bucket of your objectives there. The wants that you need to see are the wants that will give you need to choose those wants that will give you maximum happiness in your life, because that's the purpose of choosing objectives in career, right? To get happiness in life. And then we say we make them smart. All these 2 to 5 objectives, are they specific? Are they measurable? Are they ambitious enough, or are they kind of very okay so that I don't need to do anything in my life? Are they realistic? Are they not too ambitious but ambitious enough? And are you setting a time frame? 2 years, not 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 30 years? You choose. That's the time what you need to set. So you need to set objectives, and that's how you can set the right one. Giving you an example of what, coming from the same sheet that we had listed earlier, what could be your objective out of these 10 years? And if I go back and take my own case, there were 5 objectives. I could go back and say these were my 5 objectives that I kind of set myself. I didn't do this systematic process, to be honest. But in my mind, these were the constraints, these were the things that I had in mind. First, I need to take care of my mom and sister. I need to be India. And if I look back, I let go of opportunities to be at Harvard doing a public policy course because I needed to be in India. So that impacted my decision. Also, health was important to me because I wasn't keeping very well earlier in my life at my 25, 30, right? So the health was important to me, and there was no point in having a great career if I couldn't keep healthy. So that was a constraint and a must for me. Also, I had seen my father earn small amount of money with a lot of dignity and honesty. He was a government servant. So that stayed as a family value. And we said, whatever I do, I must earn with dignity and honesty. Then, of course, we didn't have a car. So my aspiration was that we had government cars, right? So I said, I must have, one of my friends has his own ambassador. So I said, I must have my own car in my life. I mean, and we also didn't have our own house. We were all living in government quarter, government house. So I said, I must have my own. I need to have my own house, and that's how I chose those five objectives based on my life position. So it's your life position, your aspirations in life, your family circumstances that will determine what your objectives could be. Right. So what did we learn in this module? What we learned is that setting career objectives requires asking questions about your expectation, the benefits and values for your life. It's your life. What brings value? What are your expectations? What are your constraints? And then we classify them into what are musts and what are wants, and we pick those wants that are most important for you in your life. Your career, why do we need to set career objectives? Because your career is an important driver for your happiness in life, right? And then we say to setting right career objective will help you in achieving that happiness in life. So it is important for you to set career objective. You could set 2 to 5 career objectives based on things that you must do arising out of constraints in life, right? And I gave you some examples of that. And then things that you want to achieve based on their importance in your life. We need to make career objectives that are smart, and they're smart standing here for specific. They need to be clear. They should be measurable, whether you will be able to do, have you done them, have you not done them. They should be ambitious enough. They should strive, make you work harder than where you are today, but at the same time realistic. And they should be time bound, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, in buckets of 5 years, most likely. So, what are we going to do in the next module? So, having learned how to set career objective, we will start looking at how can I list my options so that I can go on to evaluating my options and then making a right career choice. So, thank you so much for watching this module of setting career objectives on the way to learning how to make the right career choices. I hope you are continuing to enjoy this course as much as I am continuing to enjoy talking to you. Stay connected and look forward to seeing you again in the next module.